It's the echo in your brain. You know you can't sustain the misconceptions in your mind. One day you'll see for sure what all of this was for. Then you can leave it all behind. The journey begins. I am the one, yeah, that will show the proof. I am the one, yeah, that is searching for the truth. I am the whispers of the logic in your mind. I am an agent of the Logos. In the beginning was found this thing that cannot speak. It's how we all truly learn. It's only ever attained when one lets go of fear. So don't let wisdom pass you by. The journey begins. I am the one, yeah, that will show the proof. I am the one, yeah, that is searching for the truth. I am the whispers of the logic in your mind. I am an agent of the Logos. It was there all along. How could I never have seen this thing that's danced all around? It wasn't until I left behind the things I believed that I could see things so clear. The journey begins. Become the one, yeah, that will show the proof. Become the one, yeah, that is searching for the truth. Become the whispers of the logic in their mind. Become an agent of the Logos. Become an agent of the Logos. We are the agents of the Logos.
And yeah, we are live. Short crowd, eh? Going over a video, not going to be on for too long tonight. But it's appeared that check that out. There's Paul on philosophy overdose. And does knowledge require complete certainty? That is, if you know that something is true, must you thereby be absolutely certain that it is true? For knowledge, I voted yes. But,
yeah, that's amazing, right? If
weird numbers that. Well, I mean, I don't know. Like I say, most of the stuff we've been going over here, it seems like we're in a really small group, and that seems to say similar, does it?
Yeah, it does. That's what I mean by it's amazing. Yeah. It's like, so everybody thinks that knowledge isn't actually knowledge. Knowledge isn't knowing. Let me put it that way.
Yeah.
So 72% of people
uncertain about knowledge, I think.
Yeah. Yep. So knowing isn't knowing. Wow.
Yeah, knowing now can be unsure. Nearly 3/4.
Yeah. Well, and
10% don't know.
yeah, you have to include the don't know in that as well. So it's 82%.
Yeah. And that sort of goes along with what we're going to be going over tonight as well. That this is, well, pop into the Discord if any of you 6 people are out there. Should be in the Discord. You probably are already anyway, really. There's Jaren was talking to Brenda last night. Some proper old school, like really old school. I can't remember how old this call it an argument, but I bet it was like one of my earliest. Let me have a look on my would we have done it live? Probably. Let's flip the dates. Cosmo. Oh, I don't know how far back we would have had to have gone. But we've been over this argument probably 2 or 3 times already. And doing it really to show that the argument hasn't progressed at all. Yeah, I'd agree with you, Lakota. But it's the fact that Jaren doesn't notice it. And I know we do, we sort of specialize, right, within the argument. We don't get put out in the weeds, and we don't get swayed by non-arguments. Mainly stick to geometry and logic. Well, this sort of what brought me in. See, we get that. Can you guys see that? All right, so there's a V. Thomas. I don't know. No, nobody actually said that. Marginalized. Right, so this is an argument that was brought around by, let me see if I can just get this, because pretty pertinent to the entire thing. Let me see, which one was it in? Teaching. Right, here we go, this one. So there's 2 pictures here. This first one here.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Rob. Right, so this graphic that you will see in a bit, that Brenda presents to Jared in a debate last night, comes from this. Now, this is is the year on that, 2020, 10th of the 3rd, 2020. So over 3 years ago, 3.5 years ago, near enough. This is me posting it out. I say, check out this beauty. This is Globe Defender fails, #logic, isn't it? Does it expose your lie or misunderstanding of geometry? ? That's my comment on this thing from 3.5 years ago. The main surveyor, sadly not around anymore, probably not from Maine, definitely not a surveyor, comments on Twitter back to me, hey genius, I'm the one that drafted that graphic. So the graphic that you're about to see that Brenda presented to Jaren came from at least 3.5 years ago from a guy that is no longer around here. Probably not from Maine. But along with Jesse Kozlowski, these are the two people that have orchestrated one of the biggest deceptions within this community. We're going to call it, well, we already have called it, it's the equipotential angle of adjustment. It's a magic trick that they've been playing for years, centuries. All around the deceit of a model. Right, so this guy, who's no longer around here anymore, drafted this graphic, and we'll go over it first. See that? Maybe that's not the best one. This one's probably a bit better. There we go. That one. Right, and now this was at the time when I think we were doing logic, and QE decided to do a really badly done modus tollens. Well, this is even worse. This is, in fact, this is one of the earliest modus tollens, and you can tell it was an early attempt because they've never attempted anything quite like it ever since. Maybe, but hopefully we might get them to do a few more logic statements.
Yeah, before you do that, can I just say something?
Go on.
You know that this argument has been abducted by Brenda. It no longer belongs to Quantum Eraser. It now belongs to Brenda.
Which one?
The modus told the Black Swan.
I don't know.
It's no longer.
I've not seen. Did Brenda go over that as well?
Yeah,
Yes.
yesterday.
With Jared.
Yesterday, with Jared, she took it over. It now belongs to her.
Right. Well,
but
we can go over that at some other point in time.
We're
not doing that.
I get it. I just. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
We will
that's
go over
the argument
right?
we were talking about.
Yeah. No.
Okay. I'm sorry.
This is an attempt of modus tollens, but this is the first ever attempt at reciprocal zenith angles. But it was done and orchestrated by the guy who probably isn't from Maine. Definitely not a surveyor. No longer around, just like Jesse Kozlowski. That's what we're dealing with. The QE modus tollens is just another bad example of a modus tollens. That's the only thing.
I'm sorry. I was confused. I thought that's the argument you were talking about.
No. We will go over, that QE's awful modus tollens at some point.
It's not, but that's what I see. I'm sorry for jumping in. I thought that's the argument you were talking about, and I just want to make sure you understand it doesn't belong to QE anymore.
Right. Well, I did like we are going to go over a Brenda thing tonight with Jaren, but I didn't know that Brenda decided to do that as well.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm going to go back on mute and just listen.
Right. So, this argument is we call it the reciprocal zenith angle argument, but I mean it's not. It's about plumb lines really in the background because exposed by KC, who's still around on Twitter. They're still doing what they do 6 years after, and definitely 3.5 years after this thing. So it says, if plumb lines are parallel, P, then the sum of the interior angles, brackets, zenith angles, will be 180 degrees. I don't think that's quite right, like we stated earlier, but it's similar to Bedy's perpendicular argument. If they are parallel, then they will be perpendicular to a similar perpendicular, a similar straight line. Both of these lines. That's what they're stating. It's like a geometric thing. If then, wrote in a different way for the benefit of the dogmatic globe believers. Wrote quite a few whiles ago. And you've got the sum of the interior angles, bracket zenith angles, is greater than 180 degrees. So just measuring more angles, it doesn't state what the zenith angle is or where it's measured from or to or anything like that. Just a really bad modus tollens argument. It says therefore plumb lines are not parallel, not P. By measuring angles, they can say that plumb lines aren't parallel. Well, fallacious argument. But they've also put on at the bottom there, it says the parallel postulate, Euclid's fifth. Well, I've got a book where it's the 12th. I've also got another book where it's the 13th. It's just a triangle axiom, and it states, what have they got here? Which one version have they got? If a line segment intersects two straight lines, forming two interior angles on the same side that sum to less than two right angles, then the two lines, if extended indefinitely, meet on the side on which the angles sum to less than two right angles, which is, again, the idea of what you're meant to be thinking in the background with this particular argument. This is the argument that exposed the globe to me and the trolls on Team Globe and how they imagine these sort of arguments work. Right, so take it on board that this is an old argument that this guy here, the main surveyor, a guy who's no longer around on his YouTube characters. Well, I mean, he might have swapped characters like Jesse Kozlowski. Who knows? They might be around here at some point. So we've got the argument right now. Let me get this. And get it for you guys in Twitter now. This is sorry if I have to put people through this. This is from last night's stream on Gerrans. And here we go. You guys see that? You can all hear it. Now this is like a 7-minute clip that I've clipped out of this stream, and this is I'm sure everybody knows who Brenda is. People have switched off already, I know, sorry. But this is about the argument the argument that is being pushed is there were two guys who used to pretend to be surveyors, Jesse Kozlowski and this guy from Maine, right? They're no longer with us, obviously, because they can't support their claims within the professional arena that is surveying. So they've had to leave, and they're never coming back. There will never be a surveyor within this arena And I'm sorry about that, but might be have something to do with us. Okay. So Brenda's taking it upon on those lofty shoulders to support what was the great surveyors, the great globe surveyors of the old times, and now Brenda's now taken over. So Brenda's the face of globe surveying, and he did a debate with Jeren last night. Was it last night? I don't know. In America time, sometime yesterday.
Yes.
Where I think the opponent of Brenda stepped out or couldn't make it, so Jeren decided to step in. Although it was on Jeren's debatism. So you want to save them? Save them for later, Mike, because nobody can see them. Just wait for a bit. Wait till we get through this. Right. So this is the argument, and this is Brenda's first globe proof or what? I don't know. Right. So here we go.
First claim. Switch pages
First claim.
here.
Do you need to share your screen? Let me know.
Yeah, reciprocal zenith angles add to greater than 180 degrees, which falsifies flat Earth.
Right, so the reciprocal zenith angles add up to more than 180 degrees. Like if then from 3.5 years ago, that falsifies flat Earth. Well, we falsified flat Earth easily with elevation changes. So there's nothing new there. It's easy to falsify flat Earth. But this is Brenda's first thing, so...
Right?
Listen.
Yep, that one. Ready?
You'll notice Brenda saying right a lot. And Jeren, being very agreeable chap that he is, agreeing with Brenda when Brenda says right. To me, I think that's a bad thing because Brenda's a diletheist. And when Brenda says right and you agree with Brenda, then you haven't got a clue what you've just agreed to. Brenda could mean all sorts of other things.
Let me see, where is that? There we go. Share, and there we go. So,
Right, so here we go.
These plumb lines, I can, if you can see it.
Yes, good enough. Yeah, we can see it.
Very familiar graphic about to be shown here.
Yeah,
now.
these plumb lines, these lines are plumb. That means they're vertical. But when they are measured, this is a horizontal here.
Okay, now we're looking at a drawing that's been done, a graphic that's been made over 3.5 years ago, probably more like 4. Now this graphic that Brenda has just put up has got 2 supposedly theodolites, right? Because they're measuring angles. It's got this one here at 94 degrees and this one on this side at 94 degrees. So there's 2 angles of 94 degrees, which is more than 180 when you add them together. But they're just 2 angles measured at each end. Now, there is a problem, which I'm not too sure many people are aware of this, or where this angle is, or what it's called. We call this the equipotential angle of adjustment, but not the full 90 degrees is a right angle. But this one being 2 of greater than 90. Slightly impossible, but is there anybody here in the chat or anything that knows much about this particular number or anything to do with these angles and why 94 degrees may be a bit of a problem that Jaren's not going to notice? And I'm pretty sure that Brenda's just trying to get it past Jaren. I think Brenda understands that this is a fallacious argument, but Brenda also understands it's a dogmatic argument that is dictated by the globe. The globe has to go with this argument.
Yes, there is an implication to having, well, let's just say that extra 4 degrees from a right angle. There's a specific implication to that in the real world.
Yeah. Right, well, this angle here of 94 degrees is related to the vertical angle. Some may call it an elevation angle, although I'm not too sure. Maybe just the equipotential angle is the elevation angle when you relate it to whatever. It doesn't really matter. But 4 degrees is significant. Yeah.
Problem is with this 94.
It's a lot.
Because, yes, it is a lot. And it is not in this picture, the distance between
Sorry, paper.
supposedly two theodolites.
Yeah, we're looking at a drawing.
Yeah, it's a graphic that's been done by the main surveyor over 3.5 years ago that Brenda is showing to Jaren as a, we'll get into it in a bit, as a proof of a dogmatic globe. I mean, he says it isn't a proof, but you listen to his words. This is diletheist. This is the diletheist playing tricks. Well, I don't know whether it's a trick, but Jaren isn't pointing it at anything of this out. Brenda's getting all of this past Jaren without Jaren noticing. That's what we're pointing out here tonight. These 94 degrees. What does that mean for the distance between those two theodolites? Acclaimed, right? This is Brenda claiming something that the main surveyor has actually drawn. I know why they changed it, because I pointed it out to them. But, I mean, can you tell? Can anybody else out there tell why 94 degrees is such a problem?
Yes, because supposedly there is 1 degree per 69 miles.
So how much distance would that do? Quick little bit of maths for everybody. I did this over
280
4
miles.
years ago.
280 miles.
280 miles in between
Yep.
those two theodolites. What's the world record for photography? Anyone?
About 280 miles.
I think it's 240. I don't think it's as much. This is a world record, and it's a surveying thing done not with a camera. This is theodolites,
not telescope. You have to have really great gear for that, with a great, very expensive, I suppose, telescope to have that picture.
This is
So that's the
awful
scale.
that Jaren hasn't noticed this. I don't know how many people would notice it.
I had to put my glasses.
Because in this drawing there is this line, which is not horizontal, a line of sight. And so supposedly this theodolite could see other theodolite at 280 miles away, standing maybe even on the ground, which is impossible.
Yeah, because on their model, they develop a hump. And it's pictured there. It's like right in the middle. This is the double drop. The double nutsack drop develops a hump in the center. And the hump in the center makes it impossible for the line of sight from A to B.
Yeah, because it is wrongly depicted here. Because if it were to scale this hump, it should cover line of sight, obviously. So this hump is too small.
280 miles, though.
Yeah, I was eating.
What's that, Rob?
While they're fresh.
What's that?
Maybe he is at work.
Hot mic. Might be a hot mic for.
Yeah, sorry guys. Sorry, it's a hot mic. Just eating my lunch.
Okay.
So it is impossible in that picture. We can see with that distance, it is impossible to have a line of sight.
So what Brenda is going to mention to Jaren as being measured is impossible for it to be measured. Otherwise, it would already be the world record for sighted observations within surveying. So what Brenda is showing Jaren as Brenda's first argument is impossible. And the guy that produced the graphic had to leave the arena. He's no longer around. Like Jesse Kozlowski, they left. Because of this reason, they can't defend this bullshit that they've put out. Yet, Jaren is going to be faced with it tonight by Brenda with Brenda's first claim. And that's this. So let's listen to what Brenda says about this claim of these, of this drawing, really, that's been done by a guy that's no longer around.
And the horizontal here, the line of sight. When you measure from here to here, you get 94 degrees, not 90 degrees. When you measure from here to here, you get 94 degrees. And they add up to be greater than 180 degrees, which means they're not parallel. This cannot happen on a flat Earth. It can only happen on a sphere.
Right? It cannot happen on a flat Earth. It can only happen on a sphere. Only on a sphere.
And it's
if
quite
you draw,
opposite.
hang on, no, just one second. But it's a drawing.
Yeah.
You could draw this on a sphere. Sure. You could draw this on a flat plane. Sure. Show it in reality. She's just showing a picture.
Brenda's gonna tell Jaren that this has been measured.
How? It's just a fucking drawing. I'm sorry.
That's the point. Is Jaren won't know how to rebut it, and why won't Jaren know how to rebut it? Well, you can judge for yourself. I spotted this over 4 years ago, and I've been trying to tell people of this. Even Blue Marble's taken it upon himself. The guys that invented this trick have left the arena. They're no longer around. For a reason. They can't support it. So who can? Brenda? Well, if Brenda can get it past Jaren on a debate show, then what sort of an argument is it? You're going to be seeing a lot more of it. And that's all we're doing, is just letting people know that this non-argument and impossibility will be getting shown much, much more.
There was no discussion at all about where in the world these measurements, quote unquote, were taken. Nothing.
Mm-hmm.
It was just simply made a statement. Brenda used the word measure. Jaren was all good with it because he's, coloring it in his coloring book or doing whatever the hell he's doing, other than actually paying attention to what's being said, I think. But nonetheless, no real world discussion about where this actually happened, if it did. So to Rob's point, yeah, it's a drawing, but that's not how it's being portrayed at all.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, Kevin.
Yeah, we're not going over the argument. We've been over it many times and showed how ridiculous it is. What we're doing tonight, Rob, is showing that Jaren knows nothing about this. And to a point that Brenda is going to be able to get the surveying thing past Jaren without him noticing. Like, Jaren
Understood.
doesn't even say, how do you know this, Brenda? Have you ever done any surveying? What do you know about this? Like, none of that. Nobody. Because these arguments have been made up for this arena. And you're going to have to deal with it. Because this arena wants this sort of argument. No, it's not 500 miles. You can't add the two. The equipotential angle is at either side. It's a singular angle on its own, Lakota. It's just 200. It's still impossible. Either way. Right, so let's go back a little bit, just so we get to hear what Brenda says about this. Because there's a contradiction coming. See if you can spot it.
Greater than 180 degrees, which means they're not parallel. This cannot happen on a flat Earth. It can only happen on a sphere under the influence of gravity, right? So this doesn't prove that the Earth is a globe, but it falsifies flat Earth.
Right? It can only happen on a sphere, yet it doesn't prove a globe.
So that would be contradiction.
Yeah. Brenda's just given Jaren another contradiction. Like, Brenda's the diletheist. And Jaren's not going to spot any of them all night. People within this arena, I don't think, can actually see contradictions anymore. Like that proof thing at the beginning, well, the knowledge thing. The percentage of people that allow for knowledge to be uncertain just goes to show you how many people can allow contradictions, who allow for that. So there's Brenda's contradiction. It's not a proof, yet it can only happen on a spherical thing. So, I mean, this is definitely doable, right? This that Brenda's showing, supposedly done in reality, even though it's impossible. Here we go.
Because if the Earth was flat, these plumb lines would be parallel. They're not parallel, so the Earth is not flat.
Listen to that. They're not parallel. Go back to the poll of, do you have to be certain of something?
Yeah.
How is Brenda certain?
This isn't a flat Earth proof, right?
Nope,
at all.
Not at all.
What we're doing here is saying that Brenda's trying to prove a globe by saying it can only happen on a sphere. This is a dogmatic proof. And now Brenda's saying on a flat Earth, these plumb lines have to be perpendicular, which they are. Plumb lines are perpendicular to level.
In the real world,
Yeah.
they are. Yes.
And they are here. Plumb lines are perpendicular to the horizontal on Brenda's graphic from the main surveyor from 4
At
years
either
ago.
end.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yep.
So the only difference is that these horizontals are sloping. Now, in reality, horizontals don't slope. But Brenda said this can only happen on a sphere. So that tells you on a sphere, you require sloping horizontals. Jaren's not going to notice it. There we go.
And we're done. We can all go home now.
That's it.
I've just falsified flat Earth. You can all roll up and go home because it's all done.
Well, we can falsify flat Earth. We did it with an argument. The Earth's just not flat. Elevation changes falsify a flat Earth. Unless you want to redefine flat. Just to go along with the argument. Make the argument go on a little bit longer.
Or redefine Earth. Either
Yeah.
one. You have to redefine something there. Mm-hmm.
But I mean, it's not. There's nothing new in falsifying flat Earth. It's been, and it may come as a shock to some people, but yeah, you can falsify flat Earth pretty easy.
That's it.
Yeah,
That's it.
Pack it
we're
in.
all done. I proved that the Earth is not flat.
Okay.
You can delete your channel.
Thank
and
you.
Go
Yes.
home.
See, Brenda said proved that the Earth is not flat.
And I disagree, because this is not this example, even if it were possible,
Mhm.
would not disprove shape of the Earth. So it is non sequitur.
Yep.
So this is false statement. He
That's
said that,
that's what we're pointing
he
out.
disproved.
It's not a proof of flat Earth at all. It's
Yeah.
Brenda's fallacious reasoning around what Brenda's going to get past Jaren.
And one notion, because if they are parallel, these verticals, Brenda would say that it is proof of flat Earth, but it is also fallacious.
Yeah.
So parallel verticals don't prove flat Earth. Therefore, not parallel verticals cannot disprove, because you have to have contradiction between proof and disprove. And because parallel verticals don't prove flat Earth, therefore not parallel vertical cannot disprove, because there is no opposition here, no contradiction between proof and disprove. So Brenda's counter argument is not disproving anything, because contradiction to that should prove something, and it is not proving flat Earth. Therefore, disprove is not disproving not flat Earth.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to say something as ridiculous as horizontal means flat Earth, then vertical has a perpendicular, which it's on here. It's horizontals here. I mean,
Yes.
Horizontal's there. I mean, has Brenda proved flat Earth? If you just redefine flat Earth to mean horizontal? I mean, I don't see how you work that out. You can't redefine horizontal to flat Earth, because horizontal already has its own understanding, its own meaning, right? And flat Earth isn't horizontal, as far as I'm aware, anyway. That would be a bit of a bad trick, that.
And by the way, in this drawing, there is one more inconsistency here, because this line of sight is not horizontal. So it means that this plumb line was measured in 90-degree to horizontal line at A. And another plumb line was measured in 90-degree to horizontal line at B. So, and because this line of sight is impossible, it means that drawing different horizontal lines is, how to express that? You cannot do that. You cannot assume that horizontal line A and B are different.
Yeah, you have to also assume that surveyors measure vertical angles, elevation angles, over large distances, which they don't. But Jaren's not to know that. He's never considered it. Brenda's not to know that either, because she's been handed this as a paralogism anyway. So the entire thing that we're talking about is never actually performed by surveyors, despite the fact that it's impossible because the distance between the two is impossible. I find it a little bit strange, right, that it's gone on this long. Because everybody knows Jesse Kozlowski's done a Jesse Kozlowski. The main surveyor followed suit because it takes a lot to lie about a profession. Because there are professional people out there that would be able to call you on it. Now, they've set up this arena that no professionals will ever come in. Ever. And the professionals that you presume have been in here were just fakes. They were just actors. Playing characters. And when they got called out on it, they had to leave. But so Brenda's taken over. So here we go. Brenda's doing this with Jaren.
I'll be doing that right away.
There you go.
So is my turn now?
Yeah.
Okay, so hopefully people will start to recognize that there's a problem when people think like this, that they've debunked something or that they've falsified flat Earth, when they don't even understand what's going on. When they do reciprocal zenith angles, you have a person here who uses a plumb bob.
So Jaren there says, when they do reciprocal zenith angles. Now, I don't know how many people have watched Jaren's video. 3,500 or something. It gets quite a lot of views. They heard Jaren saying when they do reciprocal zenith angles, as though somebody, being they, actually doing this reciprocal zenith angle thing. Well, there isn't anybody doing it. No one.
You mean that's not a standard surveying practice?
Absolutely not.
That's where good on you, Rob. That's exactly where I was going to go as well. That's the worst. I think worse, Bev, is that's the implication that Jaren made.
Yeah,
he gave some sort of air of authority by saying what he just said, instead of saying no one does reciprocal zenith angles.
Yeah,
no one professionally for any reason will do reciprocal zenith angles.
It was made up. That was made up by Jesse Kozlowski and the boys to put a narrative into this argument that surveyors actually do these things to prove the globe. They don't.
The they is not professional surveyors at all.
Yeah.
The they, if they're anybody, are a few crackpots in some weird corner of the internet.
Brenda, like they is literally Brenda bringing this argument. That's the they that Jaren's now talking about.
With a drawing.
Yeah. Yeah. So don't be surprised if you start seeing this more and more and more, because you will. It's going to go around all over the place, because now Brenda's put it through past Jaren, and Jaren said when they do this. I'll go back a little bit again just so you can hear what he says.
When they don't even understand what's going on. When they do reciprocal zenith angles, you have a person here who uses a plumb bob and they say, okay, I'm 90. And then this person uses a plumb bob.
Right? This person uses a plumb bob. No. Never has anybody ever used a plumb bob in any of these things. Ever. You've never seen a plumb bob in relation to any of these tests that they're talking about. So Jaren, again, doesn't know what he's talking about. Surveyors do not get a plumb bob out and hang it like that. That's not what happens. So, here we go again.
Over here and they go, okay, I'm 90. And then they use their little sight tool to look across here and they say, did this, let's say this is 5 feet tall, did this drop from my eye view? And they say, yes, it did. This is now lower than it was here. It's now lower to here. Then they assume
Right, so this is Jaren doing his how surveyors do. I mean, how many surveyors do you reckon Jaren's talked to about this? I don't know.
extrapolate that because it's lower means it's leaning. And then they calculate the zenith angle being different. This zenith angle would be different than this one, correct? Meaning that it's not 90 anymore. Now it's leaning, but they're not measured. They're never measured.
They never lean. They never lean.
They never lean, said by Brenda. So Jaren's saying they never measure it and they calculate a lean. Like who? Who's Jaren talking about?
Maybe main surveyor.
What, they calculate a lean to a plumb bob. That's what Jaren's just said. Jaren thinks that there's somebody out there doing this, whatever it is that he imagines that they do, that calculate a lean of a plumb bob. For what purpose? For the narrative within a fucking stupid argument that Brenda's bringing. It's terrible.
Go on. And by the way, in his drawing, he doesn't recognize that when he is drawing this horizontal line,
he's not doing. He's not drawing a horizontal. He's just done plumb bobs and then he's done a sight line, like they always do.
Yes, this sight line has to be not horizontal in that example, and he's drawing looking like horizontal. So this leaning vertical looks more stupid.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but he's saying that people, professionals, calculate it to do that. I mean, it looks fucking ridiculous, but Jaren's saying they calculate it to do that. Why?
I think that he's making this up.
Yeah.
And he's not knowing, in fact, what he is doing.
He's playing along with the argument that Brenda's bringing him, which is a non-argument that's been generated for the flat Earth, globe Earth arena. Just makes no sense at all, but if you're in it, then it may mean something to you. But if you're not in it, it just seems fucking ridiculous. But this is bad. So listen to what Jaren says again.
This zenith angle would be different than this one, correct? Meaning that it's not 90 anymore. Now it's leaning, but they're not measured. They're never measured.
They never lean. They never lean.
They never lean.
Plumb bobs don't lean ever.
No, but the one across from you would. Meaning,
No,
if,
it doesn't lean at all.
Right, so now Jaren's saying the plumb bob across from you would lean. And Brenda's saying, no, plumb bobs don't lean.
Yes, and Brenda is right, of course.
Yeah.
Because Geran is making stupid counter argument.
Yeah.
That's why Brenda has easy job.
Yeah,
Easy
Brenda's just going, now she's got, Brenda has got Jaren in the place where Jaren, you know, that's what they do. This is the double play within this argument. You either see it or you don't, right? And if you're model afflicted, then you're in it and you think it's an argument. It just isn't. It's people playing mind games with each other. And I'm not too sure how well Brenda's doing, because Brenda's a full-on diletheist. Right, here we go.
That one is also straight up and down. It doesn't lean.
right. So how are they calculating reciprocal zenith angles?
By determining the angle from zenith
That it's leaning.
to
It's
it's
exactly
not leaning.
Then how are they measuring reciprocal zenith angles if they're 90 degrees?
How are they measuring? Right now, he just said that they were calculated. Now he said, how do they measure it?
And did you catch Brenda's stuttering?
Yeah.
Because it didn't happen. It didn't happen. It never happens.
Yeah.
It never will happen.
Yeah, Brenda's just got this as an argument that's been handed out like a paralogism. Here's the argument. If you present the argument, then Jaren will play along with you. And you can all fool 3,500 people that are going to watch Jaren that this is an actual argument. It isn't. It's nothing that any surveyor would ever do, but no surveyors will ever come in this arena, so therefore, just make shit up. It's only reality. I mean, who cares, really? Flat Earth, globe Earth, they've forgotten about reality. That's the problem in all of this. There are real people that do this for real, have a real profession. None of them have ever done this. And you'd know that if anybody had ever talked to any of them. Keep out of the model. Just ask them about what they do. And they'll have never heard of this. Ever.
It's all over.
The 90 degrees don't meet, right?
Let's look at my drawing here. My drawing here. Let's say
the 90 degrees don't meet. There's Brenda's fear. Listen.
The 90 degrees don't meet.
The 90 degrees don't meet. That's the two lines perpendicular to a third line, forming two right angles. So the sum of the right angles being 180 degrees, means that if there's 180 degrees within two angles, there's no third angle to complete the triangle. You call them parallels. But Betty did that argument just a little bit ago, probably in preparation for this. Two perpendiculars to a third line, another line, will be parallel to each other. Geometric fact.
Right?
let's look at my drawing here. My drawing here.
other-
Let's say this is all the way across the United States. It doesn't matter how far. If this person is 90 degrees with a plumb bob, and this person's 90 degrees with a plumb bob.
What does that mean? If this person's 90 degrees with a plumb bob, the person 90 degrees to the plumb bob, or just 90 degrees with the plumb bob? Listen.
Let's look at my drawing here. My drawing here. Let's say this is all the way across the United States. It doesn't matter how far. If this person is 90 degrees with a plumb bob, and this person's 90 degrees with a plumb bob,
If this person's 90 degrees with a plumb bob, and this person's 90 degrees with a plumb bob, what's that mean?
90 degree to what?
Nothing. It doesn't mean anything.
It's a vacuous statement, right? Jeren's just drawn 2 lines on there and said some words that mean nothing.
So he is going along with that main surveyor example, because he's saying that one person is on East Coast and the other is on West Coast. So, of course, they cannot see each other. So this line, which looks like horizontal, is not line of sight because it cannot be. So he assumes that this line has to be horizontal, one horizontal for both.
Yeah.
And you cannot check that. So he's bringing, again, an impossible example, like Brenda did. So now he's doing the same.
Well, he's actually I don't know if it's worse or not, but there's more of an implication there, because he has said himself it doesn't matter how far. Again, if this is being done in the real world, it absolutely matters how far.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you've got to measure it. If you're going to do surveying, you can't just go over there with a plumb bob and you go over there with the plumb bob and what, I don't know. What does that mean? That's as bad as Jesse Kozlowski and the main surveyor and Larry Scott. Just going to random places and measuring angles to lights in the sky. It means nothing. But that's this arena, right? That is the geometric understanding of everyone within this arena. And they're playing the game like they should do. You've got Brenda and Jeren talking about professional surveying procedures that never get done. They've completely made this shit up, and Jeren's playing his part. It's terrible, really, when you think about it, what's going on.
Now you're saying that they measure reciprocal angles being different. How are they measuring this angle if this item is not leaning?
This whole thing has gone really small.
I'm gonna move it closer if I can.
Well, no, it minimized on me.
Usually you have to find there's like a little floaty thing that you can hit to. All right, I'll just explain it. She's not supposed to interject. You get a minute after this to give your closing.
I understand what you're trying to say, though.
Yeah, that's what they do, is reciprocal zenith angles. They don't actually measure anything. What they're talking about is items dropping, and then they...
Right, so again, listen to Jeren talking about this. You'd think he knows something about it.
All right, I'll just explain it. She's not supposed to interject. You get a minute after this to give your closing.
I understand what you're trying to say, though.
Yeah, that's what they do, is reciprocal zenith angles. They don't actually measure anything. What they're talking about is items dropping, and then they extrapolate.
That's
the lean.
why they do.
Yeah. This whole thing has been made up so Jeren can do this with them, as though they can now develop a non-argument into something. And since it's made up, they can say whatever they want.
Mm-hmm. And then say that's why they do.
That's
reciprocal zenith angles.
Yeah, that's what happens. They do. Look, here's a picture. That's it. That's what happens. Don't listen to them. They're just normal people without a clue.
So nobody.
No, there's no lean. There's no lean. It's straight up and down.
Okay, then
both you have A and B. You have Alice,
hold on. Hey, time out. You put yourself on mute. Give me 30 seconds, and then you get a whole minute to respond to my.
Sure, I can.
This is the new format.
The application is
just click mute.
Minimize itself.
Usually there's a little button here. Let me stop sharing. That might help you. Or have you stop sharing?
This is a scary bit here. Pray yourself.
Did that help you come back? Did it bring it back?
Watch out. I'm sure Jeren does this.
Wait, why am I not?
Bright night.
Oh, okay.
View options. I don't see you now. You.
Oh,
there you go.
there
You're
we
back.
go.
You're back. Okay. So just give me 30 seconds. We're on there anyway. So again, what I'm pointing out is that when you have two people measuring square and perpendicular, which is what they do at a plumb bob.
This is
Two
what they do.
perpendicular.
This is what they do. Listen, Jaren and he's surveying. I miss that scary part.
People measuring square and perpendicular, which is what they do at a plumb. So again, what I'm pointing out is that when you have two people measuring square and perpendicular, which is what they do at a plumb.
They're measuring square and perpendicular, which is what they do at a plumb bob.
They're measuring it.
Yeah.
They're measuring square and perpendicular at a plumb bob.
Yeah. They don't.
So they wait for a plumb bob.
They
to happen.
literally do not do that at all.
Absolutely.
So how far is Jaren into this developed non-argument? And how do you get out of it if you're someone like Jaren? You've got to learn geometry in the standard practices. Don't learn anything about standard practices or geometry from anyone within the flat earth or globe earth arena. Don't do it, because their minds are blown, they're exploded within this narrative of the model affliction. So listen to this again. This is bad. And Jaren's meant to be, well, I mean, flat earth, right? This is typical flat earth.
Oh, there we go.
You're back. Okay. So just give me 30 seconds. We're on there anyway. So again, what I'm pointing out is that when you have two people measuring square and perpendicular, which is what they do at a plumb bob, and then one person is looking through his telescope at the other item and seeing how far it dropped. Based on how far it dropped, they then do the mathematics to figure out the reciprocal zenith angle, which again includes the belief or the presupposition that the Earth is curved. If you didn't...
Sorry, Jaren. They don't. They literally do not do that. They just survey in reality. That's it. Jaren's making up a globe narrative and explaining it to Brenda. Jaren's playing his part, and it's not good. Yeah, Jaren is probably on his own thing, but he's been pulled along into the narrative that they want people into. This is what the flat earth globe earth arena is. They want you to learn these arguments that are just within this narrative. They're no good in the real world. Everyone will think you're mad or crazy. If you say anything about any of this stuff to any person in reality, they'll just label you a flat earther. Can't get away from that. Even if you're a globe earther and you start talking to surveyors, they'll think you're a flat earther. They won't want to talk to you. Poor surveyors just going about doing the job. And then you've got Brenda and Jaren completely making shit up about what they do. All based around a narrative that just doesn't occur in reality. Right.
Have that presupposition, then you would not measure reciprocal zenith angles being off. You would measure them at 90 degrees everywhere, which is what we do.
They don't presuppose a curve. So
They
you
don't?
have a zenith.
So you got a minute. Go ahead.
Right, this is good as well. Watch Jaren capitulate to this. See whether you spot it.
You're sitting at station A. right? And you've got your zenith, which you've established with, I think most of them use a bubble level, right? They establish that with a bubble level.
Mm-hmm.
Correct?
Yes.
Right. And so that's straight up and down.
Correct.
And then they...
Did you spot that? Anyone? Brenda's body language as well, with the nose rub.
Straight up and down. No, Plumbob is straight up and down, but this level, bubble level, is not straight up and down.
Well, Jaren said, yeah.
Yes, I know that he said.
A curve. So
They
you
don't?
have a zenith.
So you got a minute. Go ahead.
You're sitting at station A, right? And you've got your zenith, which you've established with, I think most of them use a bubble level, right?
You use a bubble level for a zenith.
Yes, bubble level is, I would say, for establishing level, it means horizontal.
Uh-huh.
Not vertical.
Well, let's hear what Jaren says. He's colouring or something. He's busy.
They establish that with a bubble level.
Mm-hmm.
Correct?
Yes.
Right. And so that's straight up and down.
Correct.
Wow. That's 3 confirmations there. Brenda even got in a quick nose rub. Normally means something about...
I think that would be good for clip.
Yeah.
For future clip.
Yeah, absolutely.
Jaron said that level is straight up and down.
Straight up and down. Yeah, a bubble level, straight up and down. And Brenda's like, normally I think when you touch your nose, it's because you're something stinks, right? You're about to lie. Brenda relishes it.
Or you just lied, and you think that it went unnoticed. And maybe he's glad. Okay, he didn't spot. Okay, we can go on.
Yeah.
A bubble level, right?
Watch.
They establish that with a bubble level.
Here's the big nose rub. Look
Correct?
at that.
Yes.
Right. And so that's straight up and down.
Correct.
And then
got away with that completely. Straight past Jaren. Jaren even agreed. Again, agreeing with Brenda. I wouldn't know. I do know that Brenda knows nothing about this stuff. Because Brenda's been using the 4-year-old graphic of the guy that had to leave.
And they measure 90 degrees from that, but the other station...
See? So, listen to it again. This is Brenda's explanation of a bubble level, giving you a vertical and what you measure.
Level.
Mm-hmm.
Correct?
Yes.
Right. And so that's straight up and down.
Correct.
And then they measure 90 degrees from that, but the other...
So you get a bubble level, and the bubble level gives you straight up and down, and then you measure 90 degrees from that.
But
with the
what?
bubble level.
All of that is complete bullshit. But to
Yeah.
what? Nothing. It's bullshit.
Yeah.
Every word of that is bullshit.
And
Brenda does not
Jaren
know
just
what
went,
he's
"Yep."
talking about.
Yep,
Yep.
correct.
Yep.
Uh-huh. I'll just carry on doing, I don't know whether he's doing a word search or a colouring by number or something
Whatever.
like that. He's just doing something else. He's not really interested. As you wouldn't be, right? Why? I mean, why? You are doing a conversation with Brenda. Debatism. You've got to go through the...
I think this,
No, go on.
sorry.
Go on.
I was just saying, I think this is hilarious. I got to listen to it this morning. I think this is hilarious because listening to her do this sounds like somebody explaining to me how to play the guitar and has never picked one up. is what it reminds me of. It's like you pick it up and you do the strings and you tighten them a little bit and then you put your fingers in the certain places and bam, playing guitar.
Yeah.
It's like Kevin said, everything she says, it's like, yeah, there's a bubble level on it, like what's it called, a bullseye level, but it's like just so many steps, so many things, just missing
Yeah.
complete bullshit. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry, that was all I got to say.
Well, Brenda's obviously never set up a theodolite, because a theodolite would have a little bit more than one bullseye bubble level. Anyway, like, I think we've established by now, neither of these two people have got any experience in any of this, and they haven't really got much experience in the actual argument, where it comes from, the implications, the conclusions that you can come to, the lemmas that you can get from it. They've got no idea at all, and they shouldn't really be doing it, to be honest.
No, but yet they are each making a claim, different claim, about the thing upon which we all live on in reality.
Yeah.
And saying that they know.
Yeah, involving
when they know
everybody
absolutely
about
nothing.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're doing well. I mean, I don't know who they're representing. This is why I don't particularly want to be on either team, right? Because if you're a Glober, you've got Brenda representing you, and I don't know what that would feel like. I don't know how proud people would be for that. And if you're a flat earther, then you've got Jaren supporting you, right? You're supporting Jaren. It's side versus side. These are the these are the battles we're going to be having for years to come. Oh, lockdown in Leeds. No way. Get on that one, Emma. Have a look. See what's going on.
Station B is below 90 degrees. How do you explain that? Why is the other...
Wait, hold on. I thought you said they measured 90 there.
Listen to this.
No, they measure 94 degrees.
How? Don't they just measure straight up? You said everything's square with a plumb bob.
It's from the straight. It's from the vertical to the other station, right? And it's
to the other station.
To the other.
Yeah.
How this plumb bob was established as 90 degree to other station?
Well, you measure the angle from the plumb bob to the other station, I think. I mean, it's hard to tell. They're making this shit up, right? This is
it was supposedly
flat earth narrative argument.
But supposedly it was 94 degree.
Yeah.
So how it would be perpendicular to other station where it was not perpendicular? Doesn't make any sense.
The vertical over there is irrelevant to you measuring an angle, isn't it? Like you can't affect that vertical over there because you're measuring an angle where you are. That's just ridiculous. You can't really relate the two things together either to come up with a conclusion of not parallel plumb bobs. I don't know. It's only an illusion in your mind because they're not really related to each other in any way.
Other station.
Yeah, you don't even understand reciprocal Zenith angles.
I do.
Okay, go ahead. Complete your you have 20 seconds.
So Jaren says to Brenda that Brenda doesn't understand reciprocal Zenith angles. When the correct reply should be, they're completely made up for this arena, Brenda. There's no such thing within surveying. I mean, you might be able to Google it and find something, but hey, I think I'm going to have that too. I think I'll have the reciprocal Zenith angles linked to the website. I might get on that tomorrow. on the level reciprocal zenith angles, dogmatic globe proofs. But listen to this now, because this is the most important part that Jeren completely misses. Now, don't forget, this can only happen on a spherical model. Brenda stated that at the beginning. Only on a spherical. Listen, go, take it away, Brenda.
Right. So both stations, when viewed from each point of view, are below each other. Station A is below station B, and station B is below station A when viewed from each respective point of view because of curvature. That's how curving works. And both of them have a 90 degrees that's vertical, that's straight up and down. That's because of gravity.
Okay, time.
I don't know how to explain that any better to you.
No, and it's not for me. It's for the audience, because they can go look into it, see what reciprocal zenith angles are, and it has nothing to do with the.
There you go. I'll go back over it again because I probably missed. Please take note of what gets said here in this closing argument here.
Straight, it's from the vertical. And so that's straight up and down.
Correct.
And then they measure 90 degrees from that, but the other station, station B, is below 90 degrees. How do you explain that? Why is the other...
Wait, hold on. I thought you said they measured 90 there.
No,
Check
they
this
measure
out. Here we go.
94 degrees.
How? Don't they just measure straight up? You said everything's square with a plumb bob.
It's from the straight. It's from the vertical to the other station, right? And it's more than 90 degrees to the other station.
Yeah, you don't even understand reciprocal zenith angles.
I do.
Okay, go ahead. Complete your you have 20 seconds.
Right. So both stations, when viewed from each point of view, are below each other. Station
Simultaneously below.
They're below each other.
The simultaneous
same
below.
Time. Simultaneously below each other.
Resulting in everybody.
Dogmatic globe proof.
Yeah, yeah. In the middle though, what's it result in? In the middle.
There's a hump.
What's in the middle?
The
Yep. Nutsacking.
yeah.
Brenda just nutsacked.
You have to be simultaneously
full
below each
nutsacking.
other with a higher part in the center.
Mhm.
Yes, but in other part of this debate, Brenda was arguing that there is no hump. No
Of course
hump.
not. No hump.
Absolutely.
Except you have to have a hump if you're simultaneously below.
Yes, but they were talking about this sagitta and this internal cord line or whatever.
Oh,
And
Brenda
Brenda said
did the
many-
full on. I only saw this bit here. So Brenda did the
Contradiction.
full on all of the geometric arguments and did.
Yeah. So Brenda says, no hump. I don't believe, this is not my position. I don't believe in hump. There is no hump in the middle. Yes, this is what Brenda said
But that
earlier or later. I can't remember, but in this debate.
that graphic's got a hump in the middle there.
Sure does.
It shows it.
This is how you know it's the dogmatic globe, don't you? Because that therein lies the contradiction.
Yeah.
As soon as you see a contradiction, you know there's dogma. There's dogma, baby.
That's proof of the dogmatic globe right there.
Mhm. Yep.
And if Jeren didn't see it and he doesn't understand how you prove the dogmatic globe, then I don't know what we're doing. Because Jeren can go around making up stuff about reciprocal zenith angles and what they are and what they could imagine they do with them and how that doesn't prove that the Earth's not flat.
Yeah. Well, Jaren has his own contradictions, as we know very well here on the level.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know about... I don't know. This is this is something that's been going on for years, literally years, while we've been around here. We've been trying to show people the geometric argument, but at the same time that this people trying to show people the geometric argument has been pushed out by people like Nathan Oakley, imagining he can do miracles with angles. This is the very same angle that Nathan Oakley's dealing with, the equipotential angle of adjustment, miracle angles, and vertical planes. Yet nobody's willing to ask anybody about the actual practical method of this impossibility. And of course, there'll be nobody to talk about it, because the two guys that made it up are no longer around here anymore. One of them, sadly, George, God rest his soul, was one of the biggest players. Now, it seems like Rumpus can't really fill George's boots. Jesse Kozlowski's done a Jesse Kozlowski and he's disappeared. The main surveyor, the protege of Jesse Kozlowski, also had to leave the arena because he exposed himself by not being able to set the tools up or anything. Which leaves Brenda now, the foremost globe surveyor. There was some other dude who did something about reciprocal zenith angles. But I think he was a bit old. His time's gone. Not around anymore, I think. Another one of those people. Blue Marble Science, I think he was called. It become a bit of a laughing joke, that the science that doesn't exist. Yeah, the line of sight on that. You wouldn't actually be able to see the line of sight on that. So Brenda brings a 4-year-old argument that Jeren just doesn't notice. He hasn't got a clue. Jeren's missed it. And there's loads more to it as well, this. There are real proofs in reality related to this very argument, because mostly, as you'll find within this arena, these arguments have a way of diverting you away from actual truth. And there are tests you can do to do this. You can do it in reality, and most of it is sort of like a logical method. You can work it out cognitively, just in your mind, working over a few different steps. Mainly, well, you could do it within an argument really as well, but they don't want that discussion within this arena. They want these discussions. And no doubt, the way the Flat Earth Arena works, they will say that Brenda or Jeren have done very well within this argument. They both debated extremely well, and they've presented their cases well. That's within the Flat Earth and the Globe Earth, and I think they're both as bad as each other. And this, I can't get over that. It's so funny to me that Brenda's the one that's just coming out with this. I mean, well done, Brenda. But it's the sort of thing. It's like Flat Earth Dogma, the other ridiculous character. And his twin tangent conundrum. I don't understand why there isn't somebody saying, it's ridiculous. Like, you seem to be exposing more of the model and how absurd it is by telling people this. I think they're relying on that 82% of people. Because if you don't know what knowledge is, then you don't know how to falsify something either. It works both ways. So those 82% of people don't know how to falsify when somebody's talking shit. Brenda and Jaren, both talking about something that they know nothing about except the narrative within the argument. And everybody that's watching, unable to call either of them on their bullshit because they're both bullshitting about knowing nothing about it. Pretending they do. Making up an argument that doesn't exist. I'd be embarrassed if it was me within this. Yeah, the YouTube on. Don't know how much longer we're going to be going for. Has anybody got anything else? I don't know whether to carry on doing much more else than that. What how many other people actually watched that debate? Because I didn't watch much of it. I just saw that particular part and thought, we have to point out.
I started, but I didn't finish yet, so I am on that.
So what about the conversations, right? Is there any new stuff, or is it just, are they recycling the same old arguments round and round?
Yeah. After Great Reset, the cycle begins anew, and old compromised characters are getting back on board. So just Great Reset.
Yeah, the way I see it is that
Can you hear me now?
Jaren's had a little bit of a beef with Nathan Oakley. He's mentioned to Nathan Oakley that Nathan Oakley's got a show called Flat Earth Debate, and nobody ever goes over there to debate. So Jaren set up debatism, and now Jaren is talking to people like McToon and Fight the Flat Earth and Brenda. Don't know who else there could be. Where's the dregs? I know Red Rhetoric's fucked off. He's gone, left again. So, I mean, who else is there for Jaren to keep adding to the cycle? How many other Globe guys can Jaren do the debates with? How many are there out there? But it's obvious that, I don't know. Do people need to hear it? Because they need to hear that the Globe's ridiculous, right? These arguments are ridiculous. But is Jaren leading them into arguments that they're going to have to deal with from people like Brenda? Lakota says, listen to it all. Was a very bad setup. Lots of their own battles going on. Just the same old nothing round and round with the McToon mention to keep the revenue going. Yeah. That's what Flat Earth's turned into. And I think people used to say this, right? When you come into this, you listen to Nathan Oakley and you hear the housekeeping questions that he has. Then you go and try and use the housekeeping questions and realize they're of no use, especially within the talking bits whenever you go to any VC, right? Somewhere where you can talk to people. You realize that the Nathan Oakley stuff doesn't work, right? So you then realize that Nathan Oakley sounds a bit shouty and it's not really the way to do. So you move away from Nathan Oakley. And then after a short while, a little bit longer, you start to see that the flat earth's got some big problems. Like the narratives, they're just recycling the same arguments over and over, and there's nothing new. And you realize there's something strange in that. That the same people are having the same arguments on the same channels, or maybe different channels, over and over and over again. And there's something wrong with that. There's no progress being made. Especially when they both seem to have forgot that we are talking about reality. Flat Earth used to be about falsifying the globe. Well, as soon as you realise that the globe doesn't need falsifying, it's ridiculous. It's absurd. So what's the Flat Earth then doing? It seems like they're trying to prove a flat Earth when reality doesn't need proving. Not saying that reality is flat Earth, but if you falsify the globe, then you're left with reality. Go and find out what reality is. It's definitely not flat.
Unless that's the point, right? Unless the point is to replace the globe with your version of the globe just squashed down. Because you still have some of the same paralogisms as the globe does.
I think the contradictions that you hold, you either keep hold of them and develop them into your model, or you just drop them. Sort of like the rebirth, like a Christian, but not like a born again flat earther, where you realize it's all just a load of bullshit and there is only reality.
And reality is what you can know about it.
Yeah.
Which ultimately is local. It's like wherever you are for yourself. It's like you can believe anybody else if you want to believe anybody else about whatever they think that they're seeing, doing, proving, whatever. But that's still not you. There's only you in the end to be able to prove anything to yourself about what reality is. But then that goes right back to that poll at the beginning. It's worth bringing that back up again for the audience if there's anybody left.
I will. I'll get that.
Yeah. I mean, that concept is just very telling. Very, very telling. At least to me, anyway.
Yeah, it's a philosophy overdose, right? So it's a channel on YouTube, and if you don't follow it, please do, because some of the most entertaining stuff about philosophy, and this is just, I don't know, to say crazy people. It's just people who think probably too much. Because a lot of the disease of the learned can bring you down in a lot of depression. But I think that depression is the realization that, there's a lot of contradictions. And it's a mind battle to deal with that sort of stuff. So, yeah, I mean, does knowledge require complete certainty? Ask yourself that. I tried to have a conversation about proof with quite a few people. I've been talking, we've been listening to one today. We went over when Betty came over here. He's a logician. And even he struggled about, conversations about this sort of stuff.
published logician. This is somebody in academia that, you know, teaching children, much like Flat Earth Charles.
Don't know what Timothy's talking about. Hard to tell. But yeah, I mean, that's a lot of votes, really.
82% if you include the do not knows.
Yeah.
82%, and a pretty decent sample size, assuming that they're all individuals. 2,600. That's not bad of a sample size. 80% of people say you don't need to have certainty about what you know.
And remember, that is people that follow this philosophy overdose. It's not just random people. These are people that have literally clicked on the link to follow philosophy. So they do a lot of this sort of stuff. They've probably heard the most content about knowledge and philosophy and the gaining of knowledge and what you do with it.
But isn't that even a misunderstanding of the word knowledge?
Yes.
To say you don't have to have, you don't have to have certainty. And when in the definition of knowledge is like you experiencing, doing something and having an understanding and experiencing it. But you don't have to be certain.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
But I mean, that is 2023, right? This is modern.
Yep.
This is modern science, modern mathematics, modern logic. That this is what the modern times has led us into. You want to know why we're failing? Things like this. There's something wrong with my oh, it says 32 people there. My thingy's only saying 23. I've been wondering why it's only 23 people watching. It's been all night. Limited me. Well, when you ask people in this arena, and I'm being specific to the flat Earth and globe Earth arena, this knowledge is so... Nobody wants to know about it, really, because there can be no knowledge of flat Earth and there can be no knowledge of globe Earth. So it's hardly surprising that, you know, modern times have led people into thinking that you don't require certainty, because, I mean, I think they've been told that there is no certainty within science. You think that's where it's come from?
I think so.
I think all of this comes from relativism.
Yep.
Oh. Sorry to hear that, Timothy. I don't know what's going on. Lots of drama. So, recycling old arguments by Brenda, passing them off through Jaren as though they are actual arguments. If that was the entire debate, Brenda recycling already known flat Earth arguments or arguments against the flat Earth, when it's really easy. That's how easy we showed it. You can do a logical argument that's so precise that Nathan Oakley will finish the conclusion off for himself when the conclusion is the Earth is not flat. So, I mean, it's already known that the Earth is not flat. So there's no need for anyone to falsify flat Earth. It's easy to do that. We can also prove the globe dogmatic, or the dogmatic globe. We can do that. Which means, obviously, we can falsify the globe through the dogma that's inherent in it. Can't be escaped. Nobody wants to acknowledge that, the contradictions inherent in the globe model. The dogma, let's say. Simple. In fact, Brenda helped us out. There is a dogmatic globe proof within the reciprocal zenith angles that ends up with the simultaneous below. It has to be. A has to be below B, and B has to be below A simultaneously.
That's just the proof through contradiction.
Yeah. Tis globe.
Simple.
I'm trying to get it onto a t-shirt idea, you know, the simultaneous below. Let me see. I think I've got it. I got one. I did this quite a bit ago. There we go. This one. Something like that. Oh. Imagined altitudes of 2 points on a dogmatic globe. It's a bit too much to take in, isn't it? But it's always been there. We've been telling people for years. I'll get you in on the merch channel. I will get it on. I've not really put enough effort into it, and there is only basic stuff, the level stuff on there at the minute, but the Tis Globe range, to spark conversations with people, how you can prove the dogmatic globe. Like Brenda said, this has to happen. You have to have A being below B simultaneously, same time as B is below A. Even when they're the same altitude. Anybody got anything else, or can we end it tonight? Quick one. I'll come back with another one. We're going to be doing a lot more of this sort of stuff from here on in. Exposing the bullshittery. We're only interested in reality. And when people have been around this arena for, I don't know, if most people, if you've been around it for over 4 years, 3 years, 2 years, you might have started to see the circularity of the arguments already. If you've been around this for maybe a year. But once you've been in it 4, 5, 6 years, then you've seen every argument there ever has been, because they've been around multiple times. Even with their new iterations, you start to see them. And especially when they've been debunked and they come back round again and again and again and again. Timothy's having after him. It's hard to know who they are, Timothy. The best way to do it, I think, is to just talk about reality, and you'll find out who they are, because they'll come and have objections to it. Just get to reality first and stick to it. Don't move away from reality. Don't accept contradictions that get pushed on you. Just be you, stick to reality, and don't trust flat earthers. And never trust a guy who talks about a globe too much. Poncho's still around? Well. Okay. I don't know whether we'll be back tomorrow or not. Just doing a short one for tonight. We'll have a look over some more of these arguments. But remember, we're going to be doing the geometry and logic. I'll look more into the stuff. Okay, thanks for watching. See you soon.
This is the C minor. Yeah, C minor, yeah.
I see the writing on the wall, it's plain. Ramblings of his madman going insane. And now I see it clear. They're running and they're hiding because of fear. If I never communicate with logical, if I don't sing, if I don't speak out, if I never receive the logos. Transcendental numbers and conceptual maps will take you on a journey down a Penrose path, and you'll never see it clear. The path that you're on will be ends in tears. If I don't sing and if I never communicate with logic or will? If I don't sing and if I don't speak out, if I never receive the Logos or will? Cast away the shadows and step into light. Taking down giants and opening sight. And now I see it clear. The path that you're on, my hands and feet. I don't sing, if I don't speak out, if I never communicate with logic or will, if I don't sing, if I don't speak out, if I never receive the Logos or will.
That's good. That was good.